Hi everyone, Tally and Farrell here from Boardavit and welcome to our preview video for Zuuli. Zuuli is a card drafting tableau builder game by Unfringed Things and is going live on Kickstarter when we release this video. It's a game for between 2 and 5 players, and in our preview video we're just going to briefly explain how the game works before getting on to the discussion about the game.
Yep, and I think it's important to note that we're obviously provided this preview copy. And on top of that, it's essentially all there. I think there'll only be some minor changes in the artwork, and the box is going to be actual hard tug box rather than a kind of cardboardy paper one, yeah. So it'll protect the cards better. But in terms of playing, it's pretty simple to explain, but pretty engaging. Essentially, your goal is to build a wildlife park. So you need to get the right land territories and enclosures, and you also need to get animals to fill them in. And I think in the concept of the game, you're rescuing the animals and rehoming them. So you have these enclosure cards, which have terrain types on them. So jungle, savanna, and water. And these can hold animals. And the animal cards also have types of terrain they prefer, depending on what animal they are. Like lions want to be in the savanna. Treefrogs want to be in a jungle or a water habitat and things like this. So you have your enclosures, you have animals that you want to put in them, and you also have a few upgrades that might alter the way an enclosure works, like putting a terrain type it doesn't have on there, or it might expand it, or let animals coexist in there that usually couldn't. Because the animals are also either, I think, friendly or fierce. So obviously lions and kind of aggressive animals, crocodiles, or carnivores at least, are fierce. And then you have the friendly ones like jellyfish and tree frogs and things like that. Sloths. And anteaters as well. And so multiple friendly animals can coexist, whereas only one type of fierce animals can be in an enclosure, and obviously no friendly animals can be in that enclosure either because they'll get eaten.
They're going to get chomped.
So what you have is there's two core components of the gameplay. The first is a card drafting system, very reminiscent of something like Entice, where you deal out a number of cards to every player, and this will depend on how many players you have. And each kind of turn, you'll look at these cards, you'll take one, put it in front of you, pass to your left or your right, depending on what round it is, and you'll continue until all the cards are gone. Then the second core part is that you have all these cards in front of you and you need to put the animals in enclosures and basically kind of puzzle it out, because there's always a little twist to everything. So some animals will score more if they're alone, some animals will score better if they're with the same kind. Some will reduce the space. Some enclosures will multiply the score of animals. So you have all these little twists and rules that you need to puzzle out how to maximize your points.
Because the enclosures have a max capacity essentially, and all of the animals take up space.
Yeah.
So you might have an enclosure that has max capacity of 6 and 2 animals that have 3 space, so they could go in there together as long as they satisfy the other rules. So if they are both fierce animals, they have to be the same type, or the friendly animals can just coexist.
Yeah, and this is where the fun comes from, because first, when you're doing the drafting, you've got to think ahead. So you've got to say, right, I've got a vivarium now, and I've seen 2 tree frogs floating around, and if I can get them in there together, they'll double their score, and then the vivarium will double that score. So you've got to think ahead and kind of, anticipate the cards that are going to come around to you, check what other people are getting and what they're going for. And so you've got to kind of think ahead in that way as well and be aware of what's going on. And that's quite fun to kind of try and get what you want. And also unfun when somebody dumps something like an elephant on you in the final turn, because you obviously get given the very last card.
No, the elephants are good.
Yeah, they're good,
a lot of points, but they're big old animals. They need a lot of space.
So if you can't fit all the animals in your enclosures, then you get negative points for having to not rehome them, because you're a bad wildlife keeper.
Yeah.
So it's just like you get given an elephant and you're like, that's -5, there's a whole new problem and -5 points or whatever. So there's a lot of fun in this drafting mechanism. And then you have this cool little puzzle. And what's cool is that you do this 3 times. So it's 3 years, I think they call it. And then you score up every year as well, because the scores can vary wildly, basically, each year, depending what goes up and what goes down, if you get these multipliers or the right animals or you lose animals. So then you have to puzzle out. And actually, each year, they're not locked. The enclosures and the upgrades are locked, but you can pick all your animals up and then reorganize them how you want. So then you get this kind of spatial, I don't know what the word is, but like space puzzle, basically, because the animals have a certain space and you can only have so much space to put them in. It's
a space puzzle, but also the puzzle of how to combo the cards together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then you have this little puzzle, which is also quite fun, and you kind of sit and figure that out for a while and score up, and then you repeat. But I think that's all the things from Zuuli in terms of how to play. So yeah, like I said, I think we like both aspects. The drafting is pretty fun, and the puzzle is also really fun for me. I do like a little puzzle game. And what's important to note is that with the player count, the game does change a bit, because at 2 players, there's more cards and only one person's going to get, there's 50-50 chance is what I'm trying to say.
Less risk.
And so you can strategize more, whereas with more players, it becomes a bit more wild and you kind of get what you're given, so there's more emphasis on the strategic placement and I guess getting what you can as well, and maybe even doing over other people a bit more.
Yeah, a bit more working with what you end up with, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's good at all player counts. It's a fun game. And I think what's important is that Unfringed are aiming to produce games, and I believe this might be their first one, but they want these games that are simple games that you could play with children or maybe non-gamers, and you can teach them in 5 minutes, but that they have this element of strategy and just they're that level above that people like us can play them and get something out of it and enjoy it. And it's not just playing Exploding Kittens or Uno or Take That game.
Yeah, I think that's the charm of this game, right? It's really good gateway introduction to some elements and mechanisms from heavier games like card drafting, tableau building, combo building, but it's made in a much more accessible way. So you can just totally introduce this to non-gamers, and we have done that, and it went down very well. But yeah, it keeps me and Farrell, who are more used to medium to heavyweight strategy games, heavy with that little bit of puzzle and crunch. And what's great also is that anyone can win, right?
Yeah.
Like that's it, we're hardcore gamers. But that doesn't matter. You can teach it to anyone and they have just as much chance of winning. So that's really cool. And, the mission of Unfringed Games is really satisfied with this game, right? That's exactly been our experience.
So I think they've done really well here with that. I think it's colourful, it's bright, it's engaging, and I think this is definitely perfect for either if you want just a game to kind of, take to the pub and throw out in front of people, have 1 or 2 games because it plays in 15 minutes, to just do that and, either a drink, or to play with families, because it's definitely that level that both the kids and the parents can get something out of it.
Yeah.
And again, it's just, I think the artwork's going to be enticing for families as well.
Yeah, and even for adults, because we did play this at the pub and it really drew quite the crowd. Everyone was around the table having a look and very captivated by all of the artwork, and everyone was very interested to know what the game was, because we kind of had all of the cards laid out on the table, and it obviously looks very nice, it looks very cute, animals are very cute. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think the only thing I would say is that to be aware of is because you score up 3 times and you have all these multipliers, keeping track of the score is a little difficult, just because obviously it's a very portable card game, so you can take it to the pub. But then you have this thing where, because you need to score up 3 times, and then if you're playing with 5 players, you end up having 15 scores. So it's kind of the game that everyone needs to keep track of their own score over 3 times, or you need to have a pen and paper and be like writing it down.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess it would be the only negative for me, with because you take it portably, and then it's this little thing. It's only a minor thing, but it's just something to know about, I think. And I mean, there's no real way around it. Just it's the way it plays. But just you're going to be doing a bit of math as well.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the only other thing, and it's maybe victim of its own success, but we really loved all of the combination building that we almost want more animals and more cards. So hopefully in the future there would be an expansion as well where there, you know, different animals, different scoring conditions and everything. I think that would be really great to elevate the game as well in the future, to maybe keep, you know, me and you happy long term.
No, I think it's not that there's not enough, because there's definitely, I think, 6 to 8 maybe different types of animals, but it's just that we want more. Because I think that just is a personal thing though, because we play much more complex games, so we want like 15,000 animals that all do different things and combo together.
Maybe not that many.
I don't know. There's a lot of animals you can do.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we will return with the dogs with our final thoughts.
So, final thoughts. Zuuli is cute, captivating and quick, and is the perfect portable game for gamers and non-gamers alike.
Exactly. I think the thing is, because this is that one step above like silly usual card games that you would get, and there's some strategy to it, it's become our go-to card game to bring to the pub, or, you know, if we're going abroad or, you know, anything like that, just because of how portable it is, and you have this bit of strategy, and it's fun and it's vibrant.
Yeah.
So if you're in the market for something like that, if it's something you bring to the pub, something you can play with your family.
Can you tell we're obsessed with the pub?
Yes. Something you can play with your children at the pub if you're in the UK, not at the pub if you're in America, then this is the perfect game.
And the dogs approve as well, although they do want to chase all of the animals.
Except for the lions.
Except for the lions. Oh, I don't know. I think they'd give it a good go, especially Sven.
Well, I think
he's a troublemaker.
Sven would rather hang out with the bears because he can be grumpy with them. But so next time we'd love to see an expansion with the dogs in them. They can go in their habitats.
Yeah, that would be cute.
Yep. But thank you for watching, and we're going to have a link down below to the Kickstarter campaign if you want to go check out more details and other reviews and more info on how to play. And if this was helpful, we'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe, and then we'll give the dogs treats. And please, just if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Yep.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.